Hello and welcome to the WrestleTalk podcast here every Tuesday and Friday. I'm Ollie Davis, I'm joined by Luco and DAD, and please make sure you've hit the thumbs up button or subscribed wherever you get your podcasts from. It could be here on YouTube, it could be over on Apple Podcasts, it could even be on Spotify. But exciting news, everyone. Treg Ellen has commented in to find a new source of the WrestleTalk podcast. Here's their comment. Amazing wrestling podcast, one of the GOATs. I was renovating the house I built 7 years ago, and to my surprise, when I opened up the bathroom wall, inside the wall was a QR code to this podcast. These guys know how to play the long game with their marketing prowess. That's right, because we didn't even build that house. You built that house.
Yeah, but here's the deal with that, and the reason why we are so forward-thinking, why we are at the forefront of change with a lot of the way that you consume your podcast and find podcasts. Back then, 7 years ago, you couldn't get through a QR code using your camera app. You had to download a separate app to read it, but we saw... I think the future is in QR codes. Everyone is dismissing them because it's actually a pain in the ass to get a QR code reader that doesn't charge you 10 quid a month to use it. We're like, I think there's something in here.
And Trigellen, we saw pictures of your house as you were building it in the first place, and we thought, that's not going to last. Yeah. He's going to need to renovate that within 5 years. So knowing Trigellen, he's going to put it off for 7.
Yeah.
And there, yeah. It's caught up with the world. But yes, please do subscribe and the normal stuff, because today we are talking about Andrade's return to AEW. Is that a good idea?
We'll have the full review of AEW Dynamite, the 6th anniversary edition, but we're going to be talking about WWE to kick things off, and your absolute hatred of Triple H as a booker.
Well, I don't think it's hatred. Okay, let's lay this out. Yeah. Right. Me and Luke have been talking for about 2 weeks now. Is Triple H actually a good booker? Before we get into the arguments on either side, or actually bang in the middle, leave your knee-jerk reaction comments down below.
Because I think there has been a real shift. This past 12 months, I think there has been a real shift. You look at 2022 and into 2023, everyone's Booker of the Year. Triple H, he's come here to save the company. And even like it was in the NXT era of Triple H, there was a lot of like, man, once he goes up, once he finally gets the book, it's going to be a completely different game up on the main roster. But I think over the last 12 months, there's a lot of people being like, I just think he's a con man. I think he's a crook. I think he's actually got no ideas, and I think he's really lame at what he does.
And that is, I would say, a small portion of people. I wouldn't say that's but there is another portion of people who, and this is really baffling to me, but weirdly, there's something about the vibe of what they're saying that chimes with me, and that is, all the best stuff we've lived through is Vince McMahon.
Yeah.
And it's so crazy to say, because we had Vince McMahon for decades and decades. We all couldn't wait for him to be replaced, specifically by Triple H, because of the work he did down in the black and gold era of NXT. And then Vince finally goes. We have 2 fantastic years, really, of WWE. But now, several people have pointed out all the best stuff in that time period is what Vince set up. And this is the 2 key ones, really, are the Bloodline saga and Cody Rhodes returning to WWE.
Yeah, Finish the Story was actually within the Vince era of WWE, because he came back when Vince was in charge. His first promo when he came back was like, I'm here to finish the story that my father never got to tell, which is winning the WWE Championship.
So you said your argument's been he's not a good booker.
Well, my argument has been, so when I was laying down earlier, I've just like, there's been this huge swing of being like, he is the best booker in the world. He is the savior of all of pro wrestling. And the big swing the other way to being like, he is the worst booker in the world. He is killing pro wrestling. I think is just internet arguing, because there is no in between. In when you are arguing things online, or when you are feeling your feelings in YouTube comments, on Twitter machines, or whatever it is, you have to just be one or the other. There is no in between. But I think the Triple H has just been in between the entire time. I think he has just been good. And, there are swings either way. There are some storylines that are, like, really, really good. There are some storylines that are really, really, like, not good.
Or just never do anything.
Or just never do anything. But I think that, broadly speaking, I think he has just been bang center in the middle, where he has been broadly fine for the majority of the time. But the hits that are good have hit so hard and hit so great that you don't often realize the lows of the lows aren't all that great. But now that I feel like because there are more there's not any highs at the moment, it's just putting a spotlight on the lows that people were overlooking when the highs were really high.
So let's try and go through the big things since, let's say, 2020, because this decade really begins with Roman Reigns coming back as a heel in SummerSlam 2020, which is under Vince's watch. You pointed out to me, actually, maybe that's neither a Vince or Triple H thing. That's really a Roman and Paul Heyman thing.
The reports are there. Well, yeah, they are heavily involved in the creative and were heavily involved in the creative of that Bloodline saga. It was a Roman Reigns, Heyman. They're very much involved within that. So it's not like any one person you can credit that the creative of that to.
So that is one of the greatest stories of all time. Arguably the greatest saga ever in professional wrestling. Then you've got the Cody return. That is something that was specifically brokered by Vince McMahon and Bruce Pritchard. Cody's told that story where Vince flew to Cody's house to really make the hard sell. He was going to re-sign with AEW before that meeting happened, allegedly. And then Cody returns.
If there's one person you want to take their word on this, it's Cody Rhodes.
Yeah. And then Cody says, well, Cody's storyline is, I am going to win the belt that my father never fully won.
Yeah.
Because of a beautiful picture and all that stuff. The watch. Mm-hmm. And then that storyline plays out over a year. He doesn't win at Mania after the adversity. And then I think Vince is thrown out in July 2022.
No, he's still there. So
no. He resigns July 2022. Yes. SummerSlam 2022 is Triple H's first big show in charge.
Correct, yes. But also, like, the first Cody Rhodes failure at WrestleMania comes after that, because that's in 2023.
Vince is back January 2023.
Correct.
For the Royal Rumble.
Yes.
He won it.
But the reports are that Cody was not going to win at 39. It was not like Vince didn't come in and be like, no, pal, scrap that. He's not going to win. The plan was always Cody was not going to win at 39 because he was going to win it at 40.
Yeah. So let's say that's all Vince stuff. Triple H comes in. What does he do? What are the big things that you can clearly go, that was under Triple H's full creative reign?
Brought back a load of people.
Brought back Dexter Lumis.
He sure did. Karrion Kross.
Do you remember when he just appeared under the ring?
Yeah.
And he was looking at the Miz, I think. Karrion Kross. But you do have some success stories in there, like LA Knight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and
absolutely. Yeah, because LA Knight was he didn't leave. He was just rebranded to, what did they call
something
him?
Dupree, wasn't it?
Yeah,
'cause he was Maxine Dupree's brother.
I can't remember what they called him.
Well, anyway, whatever
they
it is.
rebranded him back to LA Knight and was like, let's just do your Eli Drake thing again, because this whole like new character just isn't working whatsoever.
I would say the only real thing I can point to is CM Punk coming over. Triple H facilitated that. Triple H had to initially eat some humble pie, I guess, to get Punk back in. And then he force-fed it the other way for the Saudi Arabia Money in the Bank match. But Punk, and then the Punk and Drew feud, like the Punk-Drew feud is the feud of the year of 2024.
Easily so.
And that was under Triple H's watch.
Yeah.
Although there is a part of Triple H always going, yeah, but it's the setup to CM Punk versus Seth Rollins.
Yeah.
Which is actually CM Punk versus Triple H.
The other one I was about to say then was Gunther's IC title reign. But Gunther won the IC title when Vince was in charge.
Gunther's World Heavyweight Championship reign is under Triple H's watch.
Yeah.
The full Judgment Day, just the Dominic heel turn. Yeah. That's
Triple H, because that's Clash. Clash at
the Castle. So that was great.
Yeah.
Judgment Day had already been going in that direction, though.
Yeah, they've been sort of like starting to. Rhea Ripley was already trying to recruit Dominic into the group by doing the sort of like the dominatrix shtick, right? But like, I think Rhea Ripley, I think you can argue is a Triple H success story,
yes.
because like I think she's way more over now in the Triple H era than she was under Vince's watch. I think Becky Lynch is doing great stuff under Triple H's watch than she was under Vince's watch, even though there's some really good stuff under Vince's watch as well. There are some like people who have really thrived under Triple H's regime, but I think some of those people would have thrived regardless, because there are some people that people are just going to gravitate towards, Rhea Ripley being a good example of that. But I think Triple H at least allowed her to be more of herself than to try and be what Vince McMahon maybe saw her as.
What I think Triple H does bring, and it was really the perfect answer to the Vince era, was consistency.
Yeah.
Was things not changing every single week? Not ripping up the scripts hours before the show because Vince decided he didn't like something, or there was a bad rating the week before.
Or just repetitive matches, doing the same matches every week because Vince either liked it, so just do it again the next week, or he'd forgot that it had been done the previous week, so just got them to do it again.
And then all of a sudden he would remember and go, why are we doing this? We can't do this ever again.
Yeah.
So it's very hard to book a long-term story when you've got that kind of ever-changing, last-minute reactive stuff to some guy who, seems to have lost his mind somewhat. Yeah. So Triple H took all of these setup things that were set up in the Vince era. And when we say set up in the Vince era, I don't think it's fair to say Vince McMahon is the one coming into the creative meetings going, hey guys, I've got this great plan for...
I've got a 4-year-long story for Roman Reigns with the Universal Championship.
It's the writers and the agents who are pitching these storylines, and Vince goes, yeah, that sounds good, or yeah, that sounds bad, and then he forgets about it and changes the plans 3 weeks later. At least with Triple H, those people are pitching the ideas to him, and they'll be like, yeah, okay, that fits in with this thing, and we can run that for way too long.
I think that's where the big criticism of Triple H is currently at the feet of, right, is things are taking too long to actually do. I was on Sean Ross Sapp's show on Fightful. I was on The Hump on Wednesday, and he was talking about, he was like, made the point, if Bron Breakker had been around during that sort of early 2000s period, of that late 90s, early 2000s period, he'd already been a world champion by now. Because Vince would bring people in, would build, like, knowing, I'm going to make you a champion, and would then build them up over the course of a year, 18 months, and then make them a champion. And he did that with The Rock. He did it with
Big
Kurt.
Show.
He did it with Big Show. Big Show debuts in '99. He wins the title, Survivor Series '99. Like, it's only like 10 months later he wins that belt. He then loses it, 2 months later to the real star of the show, Triple H. So like he would often bring people in or build people up and have them win the world title. Kurt Angle's another one. It's like, I'm going to tell a year-long story. I think Kurt Angle's going to win the belt. Brock Lesnar wins the title like only a handful of months after he first debuted. Triple H is much more of a like, we'll just build. We'll build and build and build. Bron Breakker is a future world champion in 5 years' time. Yeah. We're going to spend the next 5 years really building this guy up so then he becomes a world champion. And that, I think, can frustrate people because we are in a social media age, 24-hour news cycle age where you kind of need to be more quick. You need to be more zippy in your storytelling because people's attention span is so much shorter than it was previously.
I always push back against that because the stuff that's doing the best for a lot of people is long-form podcasts, is multi-episode TV series. I don't think it is everyone's just gone really short attention spans. I think it's more that there's no variation in the speeds. Like everything is the same gear, it feels like, and it's forever. We're always in second gear, which is great. We'll get there. We'll get to enjoy the scenery on this long drive, but it's always second gear. You never feel like the coming like acceleration down the motorway or the sudden slowdown when you go into a slip road. Don't know why I'm doing this tortured car analogy.
It's working for you. I'm enjoying it.
But what you would get with like Vince, just let me finish. Vince was always scattergun. Like it would happen here. Nothing would build long term. Triple H feels like it's all long term. I think now we're 3 years into the Triple H reign. And really only 2 years, you could say, because Vince came back for that period. What we need is the long builds, but then you also need what? You suddenly get a 6th, 7th gear where someone does just come in, Javon Evans, say, and he does win his first match against Sami Zayn, and he wins the US title. And everyone's like, what? Oh, we're not building. He's just a star. Or Bron Breakker just turns on Seth Rollins because, this storyline, don't know if it's working as much. And it's weird to have that criticism because we keep saying about WWE, it's all about moments these days. Mm-hmm. Like, surely those moments are the sudden jolts of gear shifting, but they've just not landed in the way I think they're supposed to.
Yeah, the only thing I was going to push back on, so I wasn't trying to interrupt. The only thing I was going to push back on is this idea that I think long form podcasts are being enjoyed more through 30-second clips on TikTok and Instagram Reels more than they are actual long-form podcasts. And with TV shows and that sort of thing, we're in a binge-watching era. Wednesday did so well on Netflix because you could watch all of the episodes right at one go. It wasn't like it was this 6-month-long TV show that was on week to week and people watching it.
But it's not a minute clip, is it? It's Wednesday.
But what's also that big rising form of media at the moment are those minute-long soap opera dramas. That is a huge, like, $1 billion business at this point in time. I think the attention span of the average viewer is much smaller now than it used to be. So when you are doing a story, take, for example, Grayson Waller and Austin Theory, where you tell a story for 2 years that they're breaking up, and then you just stop it because one of them got injured. That is where you feel like, what was the point of any of that then?
Yeah.
And people just get frustrated because everywhere's like, it's this again, is it? And I've got this with the Street Profits. We've been teasing forever. And we saw tension with them at Clash in Paris. And then I'm watching SmackDown. I was like, they're fine.
The Americanos storyline.
Yeah.
You are right. It's like, in Vince McMahon's era, it's what's the point of getting invested into anything because it's going to be ripped up next week and it'll be something else, and you gimmick and you storyline and it won't remember anything. And in Triple H's reign, it's more like, what's the point of getting invested in anything because it never pays off?
Yeah,
it's just the same every week.
Yeah, and what we tend to find with when we get questions in from viewers and things like that, it's one of the ones I think we consistently get is whenever someone wins the title, the first question is, who's going to beat him? Who's going to beat them for this title? Who's going to beat Cody Rhodes for the title? Who's going to beat Roman Reigns? You get these questions a lot. I think people are always just looking for the next thing. And Triple H isn't booking TV shows that are 8 episodes long. He is booking a consistently running TV show. And he does it at a glacial pace. And I think that works for him. He likes doing year-long stories, 18-month-long stories, 2-year-long stories. And I like that as well. But you also need to have bits where things happen, as opposed to having a start and end, and that's all you have. You start a storyline, 2 years later it ends, and there's actually one plot point that goes from point A to point B. Yeah,
in comics, which I guess is a very similar version because it's an ongoing soap opera, you have 6-issue storylines, but really it's part of a larger arc that goes about 3-4 years.
Yeah.
So, 12 issues a year. So you're talking about 36, 48 issues of this epic saga, which is what the Bloodline's like. You had loads of chapters within the Bloodline saga. It wasn't just Roman feuding with Jay for 4 years.
Yeah.
Although that is what we're potentially going back to. What I feel we do get with Trips is we don't get out of that first chapter.
No.
And that's okay if the story is good enough. But I feel like all the stories are sitting in the will they, won't they break up.
Well, what's the story of Finn and Roxanne?
Yeah, well, it was originally Roxanne's going to come in and she's going to start flirting with Dom. Liv comes back. There's tension there. But Liv gets injured the week after Roxanne's brought in.
So what do you do then?
You've
got to pivot. You've got to change the story and adapt it so that it still works. You're still telling this. Finn Balor is trying to take over. There's no real leader of the Judgment Day, but really he sees himself as the leader and he's trying to manipulate everyone into him. But no, instead they've just stopped. They've just stopped all of the story that they were doing until Liv comes back and then they'll restart the story. That is not an effective way to tell a story.
That's a criticism we always used to level at Tony Khan as well.
Yeah.
He's
bad at that, yeah.
I think he's gotten so much better, but there would be this storyline. Someone will get injured. Okay, I'm going to pause everything.
Yeah.
And that the person they're feuding with might even disappear from TV until the injured person makes their return and we're back off to the races. Even though it's been 6 months, the momentum's passed.
Yeah.
And you can definitely see that in Triple H's booking now. And I'm very aware that I'm a Roxanne Perez mark, and I always get a bit frustrated when people pick their favorites and then go all out for their favorites at the expense of the rest of the company. So I'm not saying that Roxanne should win the women's title and immediately be in the top title picture on Raw in year 1 of her main roster run. However, I also am going to kind of do that.
Well, that wouldn't have been a bad idea.
Yeah, and that's it. It's like the freshness. You can insert someone, just like you said with Vince when it built Kurt Angle up over a year.
Brock Lesnar.
I think Roxanne's good enough. And for a lot of these people, when they're already spending 2-3 years in NXT, the reason they're doing that is so they can go in right at a sort of level. You don't have to build them up from the get-go because you've got the footage, you've got some portion of fan awareness of them.
I said this when I was on the Hump on Fightful on Wednesday. If Obafemi is coming up to the main roster, and there was a few people in the live chat being like, yeah, he should beat Sami Zayn for the US title, go that Intercontinental title run. I was like, no, put him in the main event. Put him straight in there into the main event scene. You've already done the build up in NXT. And if people aren't watching NXT and he's coming into a fresh new roster, a fresh new eye audience, which he largely will be, just tell everyone then he's a big deal.
Do video packages.
Because also, yeah, do you know what? You're in control. It's not like it's a surprise. You're booking this show. You can book him to be and present him as this unstoppable monster. I just have him come in and beat Cody Rhodes. And just like he wins the Royal Rumble.
Instant star.
He wins the Royal Rumble and he beats Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania. Instantly, top new guy, top main eventer. But Triple H's modus operandi would be, let's bring him up, have him win the IC title, hold that for 18 months, and then someone beats him. Then he can go into the world title picture. Yeah. But we just did that in NXT. I think you can do this. There's a middle ground between those two things.
Yeah. It's back in the Attitude Era again. I feel like that main event scene. Of course, you've got Rock, Austin, Undertaker, Kane, Triple H. You've got the big, and Kurt was in there eventually, but let's
not forget Rikishi.
But they were trying.
Yeah,
they were constantly trying to make new main eventers in quite a quick fashion, like a year. When Y2J, like he was a mid carder in WCW. When Jericho debuts in the Attitude Era, because of the Y2J countdown bits, I mean, maybe it's just my nostalgia. I feel like he comes in and he's instantly tippity top of the mid card.
Yeah.
On like teetering going in because he interacted with The Rock. Of course, The Rock buried him, and Chris Jericho felt that really undermined his initial debut.
I don't think it also helped. I think he also said he then cut a promo on The Undertaker the following week, and Taker didn't really like the promo that was cut, and then it was like, now you feud it with X-Pac. Yeah. Off to the road dog with you. That's where you're going.
But in 2 years' time.
But
with Obafemi, that's a really good like hypothetical to have because he is the sort of person that you could just do 1 minute video package, 1 minute video package for 4 weeks. Pay-per-view happens. Night after, he just appears.
Yeah. And
it's squash matches. And then, I wouldn't do the Rumble Mania route. I feel like then I know. If it's just, Cody's wrestling Obafemi on a Saturday night's main event. All right. Easy title defense. But just like we saw with Chris Statlander All Out, that shock title change. Because if he wins the Royal Rumble and then he's going for it at Mania, I'm like, oh yeah, I can. They're trying to build Obafemi. That's great. It's not unpredictable though.
No, it's not. And actually, I would say the alternative to it is actually repeating what you did with Brock Lesnar in 2002, which is you debut him the night after WrestleMania, and then he just does squash matches, wins the King of the Ring tournament, and then he beats The Rock at SummerSlam for the title. You could do that with Obafemi. Debut him after Mania, he wins the King of the Ring, he beats Cody Rhodes at SummerSlam to win the title after earning his title shot there. So that is a very solid mid-tier, mid-length build of making a new top star. Sure, it is a little bit predictable. I love your idea, by the way, of doing that shock title change, because that is the one thing we don't have anymore. I mean, this kind of like jumping ahead to
we have kind of had it like when EO won the belt on Raw. Like I don't want to totally ride off.
That's true.
Trips has done surprising things. Like the AJ Lee return was very good. The Bron Breakker siding with Seth Rollins and Heyman was, but it feels like they're moments. And they're not getting that follow-on.
Well, that's okay. Bron Breakker is another good example then, because the story that they had with Seth's worked injury was that Bron was taking over the vision. I'm the new leader now. I'm going to move us into this new direction. Seth comes back, and all of that Bron stuff is just gone. So, like, what is Bron's deal with the vision now? What is Bron's deal with Seth Rollins? And it feels like they just stopped doing that, because we've got to do WrestlePalooza and we're bringing back AJ Lee. So we actually need to move Seth and Becky across to this thing over here. So we can't really do this Bron stuff over here at all. But again, I think if you're a smarter booker, or, you know, I don't hate to use the word, a better booker, you would pivot and try and try and tie all these things together so you can neatly move from this story into this new story over here while still keeping this plate spinning. Triple H doesn't keep plates spinning. He just takes the plate off and puts it on the ground, but it's still next to the pole. So at one point he can put it back up onto the pole and start it spinning again and be like, no, it was there all along, when it actually wasn't.
How long was the actual Batista Evolution turn? Because it's not that long, is it?
It's not that long. So what, that group debuts in 04? And then he wins the title in 05.
Yeah, and it's like the Rumble through to Mania, and he starts hearing Triple H. So we're talking a couple of months from the actual trigger Batista's going to turn on Trips.
Yeah.
And that's the breakout performance there.
Because it is the New Year's Revolution, which is when he's in the chamber, and then he wins the Royal Rumble.
So that's, like, we're talking a couple of months for what is quite a celebrated... Oh, this guy got over. We pivoted plans away from Orton and we made him the breakout star of the faction.
Because they'd already picked him out.
But they've definitely picked out Breakker. I've been being told that Breakker's the next big thing since 2021 NXT Colourful Midlife Crisis era.
Yeah.
It's 4 years ago. And people are getting older. In the Attitude Era, I can't believe it. Is it because we're doing Monday Night War 2000 and we're very nostalgic for it at the moment? And you're watching the Vault channel.
I was going to say, I don't want to jump ahead towards my recommendations, but the WWE Vault channel is my recommendation for the week.
But most of the main eventers are in their early 30s.
And do you know why they were in their early 30s? Because that was their selling point against WCW. Because all of the WCW top stars were Hogan, Savage, old lads from the 80s, Flair. It's all of your old lads from the 1980s, but we've got the fresh blood. They used to say on commentary, look how young our roster is. We have genuinely got the future of pro wrestling. We don't have any old guys on top here. And someone pointed out, like, no one has won the world title that was born in 1990. Like, it's...
Are you serious?
I think that's true. Yeah, Cody Rhodes...
35...
Cody Rhodes is like the same age as I am.
I guess you're right.
Yeah.
And that, I think that is problematic. So I'm gonna now kind of defend Triple H.
Before you do that,
finish.
Before you do that, the other thing I wanted to jump on to, I think it was a point you were making earlier, which is, I think what Triple H is not very deft at doing is capitalizing on momentum. Do you know who had massive momentum 2 years ago? LA Knight. Do you know who's only now just in world title programs that looks like he might win a world title? LA Knight. 2 years later, he is not as hot now as he was when he was at Money in the Bank in London. Like, he was super over. When we did our watch party, the amount of people that were there, I would say it was almost like 60% LA Knight t-shirts. People were so into him. Can't capitalize on it.
Penta,
like, well, it was taking WWE. I saw him.
Still is.
No, Dragon Lee is now taking WWE. I think if you look back at the Vince era, Austin was never supposed to be a top guy for them. They brought him in to be the ringmaster. Sure, like, if he gets over, he gets over. Wins King of the Ring. And all of a sudden it's like, oh, wow, I think we've got something on our hands here. And unfortunately, then he gets injured. But they were still keeping him on TV because they're like, well, he's going to be our next big guy. And he's going to win the Royal Rumble. And then, he wins and he becomes the world champion. They saw something there and they're like, the crowd are really behind him. Let's get behind him as well. The same with Batista. So I think Evolution actually is 03 because Orton wins the title in 04 and then Triple H wins it back a couple of months later and then Batista wins it in 05. But that's it. You had a 2-year point of just like one of the guys splits off 1 year, the other guy splits off the following year to beat Triple H and win the title.
I was going to say maybe it's unfair because we're comparing Triple H to Attitude Era under Vince. But actually, I think that's probably a more appropriate comparison to compare Triple H to 2019 Vince. I mean, that like Triple H wins every day of the week. Well, Triple H has a level of business and a roster that, I mean, just honestly, by the business metrics, is bigger than the Attitude Era.
Yeah, the only thing is the Attitude Era that was bigger was more crossover appeal with mainstream things.
If you look at Bad Bunny and Logan Paul.
I know, but those are mainstream people coming into wrestling. I'm talking about wrestling going into other things.
Yeah.
The example I would give is The Rock when he was on That 70s Show. The Rock has a cameo on That 70s Show where they go to watch the wrestling. The Rock does jokes about The Rock. He's making jokes about the character The Rock on the wrestling show because they know that everyone is so into this thing that people are going to get the joke.
Yeah.
He's not playing a new character. He is just doing jokes about his own character from a different TV show.
So to defend Triple H, because that wasn't actually my defense of Triple H, we don't really know the reality. I think there is a version, and Unreal really sort of gives me a glimpse into maybe this being a possibility. Triple H has his room of writers, as we see. They're the people coming up with the storylines. And he is really the Kevin Feige going, yeah, let's do that one. Let's go with that one. He's not really coming up with...
Give me your pitches.
Yeah, he's not the guy who's generating the ideas, nor largely should he be, because bookers only have so many ideas. They should lean on new, fresh writers underneath him.
He's not creative. He's head of creative.
Yes, yeah, really good description. But he is also the guy that is the linchpin between all the creatives and the wrestlers as well, who I would also lump in the creative bracket, and TKO, Endeavor. And Endeavor are like, we need all of this stuff. Like, these are the metrics we need to hit. We cannot go below these revenue deliverables. You need to get in this sponsorship. You need to get in this influencer because we're also his agent over here in this large Endeavor umbrella company. You need to
promote this thing.
Promote this new boxing federation.
Yeah.
And Triple H is like, in the middle, he's just like, I just got to keep the show on the road. Like, people think when you get to a really top level position, oh, you've got all the creative freedom in the world. Not actually the case. You've got all the pressure of everyone above you and everyone beneath you. So could Triple H, the reason he's not making new stars, he's trying to, but in a very slow, safe way. The reason could be because if he does take a punt on, well, let's just chuck Obafemi and get him to beat Cody on his debut, and it doesn't work, you've both damaged Cody, a proven draw, and you ruined the potential of Oba. Maybe it was better to wait that long.
Could be, yeah.
And it is a risk.
It's a risk.
But unfortunately, creativity is about taking risks. And I don't feel like WWE have done that for quite a while. The last time was John Cena's heel turn. And it was an amazing risk, and we celebrated them for it. But it was not delivered on. They never really fully believed in it.
There's a moment in Unreal where they do the heel turn, and Cena says to Triple H, man, we'd have to do something monumental to screw up the final chapter of this. And Triple H's like, yeah, we'll see what happens. It's like, yeah, you did screw it up though, didn't you? You really fumbled that ball. My defense of Triple H, because again, I'm going to come back to the point I made earlier. I am neither he is the best, nor am I on the he is the worst. I think he's just bang in the middle. And that is because since he's taken over the book, Raw has been 3 out of 5 every week. There are some shows that are 4 out of 5. There are some that are 5 out of 5. But there's very rarely shows that are 2 out of 5.
Yeah.
And there's never shows that are 1 out of 5. He is, actually at this point, he is MCU, which was just this consistent 3.5-star machine. You just plug all the little things into it, goes into the MCU machine, and a 3.5-star movie comes out of it. It's usually a 4-star movie. Sometimes something would get mixed up in the machine and a 5-star movie would come out. Sometimes things would get mixed up in the machine and a 2-star movie would come out.
Yeah. So James Gunn was given too much creative reign. It was a 5-star movie.
They put too many raisins into the mix, and all of a sudden it's like, okay, now this is actually too delicious.
Oh no, now we made the Eternals. This is the same recipe? How did we...
But I think that's what Triple H is. He has just got all of his things, he puts into the machine, and a 3 out of 5 show comes out at the other end of it. And that, I think, is commendable. And I think that's a really good thing, because it's made watching WWE all that more enjoyable. Because I'd much rather watch consistently 3 out of 5 TV than watch 2019, which, like, you had no idea what that machine was going to give you. That machine might give you a 5-star, like,
no, no 5 stars there.
But the majority of the time, it's like, this machine is just broken. It's just 1 out of 5, 1 out of 5, 1 out of 5. I quite like the consistency of it all.
Oh, yeah.
But at the same time, I get frustrated as a fan where I am like, okay, so to kind of go back on my own point a little bit and sort of see where I think the frustrations do come from. When you've had nearly 3 years, well, actually, so 2022, we're saying is like...
Mid-2022, really, Vince properly leaves January 2024.
So let's say, at the most extreme of this, 3 years of Triple H leading the creative of this. Obviously, there's some Vince-isms within there. When you've had 3 years of 3 out of 5, after a while you're like, all right, but when are we going to get to the fireworks factory? Like,
it's like being on the motorway. You forget how fast you're traveling.
Yeah. And that's what it means. Like, we are just moving at the same pace. And that can then become quite boring and quite samey and just a little bit like, when are we going to get anywhere with anything? And there are a bunch of dudes on that roster that I am looking at being like, man... Tyler Bate, Pete Dunne, you want to talk about squad? You signed them when they were kids, like when they were 19 and 20 years old. They're like old men now, like, and you've done nothing with them, purposefully so. It seemed like, and you can be so frustrated being like, I cannot believe you just did nothing with a bunch of these people.
Well, what do you think? Is Triple H actually a good booker? Is it yes? Is it no? Is it actually quite a long, nuanced answer?
Can you believe it's been 6 years of AEW Dynamite?
Happy birthday to you.
Yeah.
Happy birthday to you.
Don't do it too much because...
that's copyrighted.
Is there like a...
Happy birthday to AEW. Happy birthday.
I don't know if they've got like a YouTube bot that just goes through to like to see if there's any videos that sing that song, and immediately it's like, that's copyright claimed.
Yeah. 6 years old.
I know.
I saw a really lovely post from, was it Mikey Ruckus? But one of the AEW production guys, and he had his format sheet from the very first episode of Dynamite. He posted it, and he told a story about how one of the other production people on that day had worked on the very first episode of Nitro, and he showed him his first ever format sheet for the first episode of Nitro, and he said, keep hold of your AEW one. Yeah. I was just like,
it's nice.
That just gives you a glimpse into the people who love wrestling behind the scenes.
Also, I want to read through that format sheet because I want to get to the bit where it says, cut to Chris Van Vliet interviewing Jay and Silent Bob at ringside.
Oh, yes. Jay and Silent Bob are on that first episode.
Yeah, I mean, it's Kevin Smith and Jay Muse, but yeah, it's Silent Bob right there.
That was a crazy time when there were loads of our favourite celebrities ever in the crowd for Dynamite.
Yeah. What was it? Rosario Dawson.
Rosario Dawson's in the Nightmare family.
She's part of the Nightmare family. But this episode opened with... This felt like a real celebration match for AEW in 6 years because it is Kenny Omega and it's the Young Bucks. But it's Kenny and Brodido taking on the Bucks and Josh Alexander. And... I just don't think there's any company in North America right now that is doing the party match better than AEW.
This is AEW's thing now.
Yeah.
And they can do a party match, and they can also further the feuds that are within the trios or the 8 or the 10-man tags. Yeah. It's really good. There was unfortunately though, when was Kenny Omega announced?
It was during the week. No, it was last week.
I looked through my notes. I could not see any mention of Kenny.
Yeah, he was announced on last week's show because this match was announced on last week's Dynamite.
Okay. Well, then I will take that bit back. But before the match...
You notice they announced like 3 matches for next week's show. So I don't want to say that I'm right, but you said last week, we'll see if they announce any other matches for the weeks after.
Okay, I'm glad you remembered that thing that we're keeping track of. At the start of this, the Bucks had a little BTE style skit as well with Brandon behind the camera and everything. They're rich now, remember. Matt's going to get a really spenny entrance for them. But Nick's character now is that he's got a gambling problem. So he went to the casino, spunked all the money, and they couldn't have the big entrance. And it just said the Broke Bucks on their name bar. And it's funny. But I thought we did this.
Well, I think we are moving on from this. I said when they won that money, I was like, the story will now be that they're spending all that money and then it will run out. And that is when you'll get the next version of these Young Bucks characters. Because the post-match of this was Kenny almost appealing to the Bucks. Who are you? What have you become, my Swedish friends?
Oh, I hope they stay heel, though, because the last 3 months has been Bucks back to their prime.
Yeah.
You know, it's not the founding fathers, who are fun, but they're limited, I guess. This is heel 2016 Ring of Honor Bucks.
Which is, always wonderful. So, but this match was superb. Like, it was so great. Like, I loved it. And Kenny got the win by, you guessed it, pinning Josh Alexander.
Kenny and the Bucks went face to face afterwards. A nice, 6 years, of course, these three are in the ring together. But then Jurassic Express came down.
Well, this is where, so the Bucks, Kenny was almost appealing to the Bucks. That idea of just who are you guys? We built this company together with 2 other guys. We built this company. And then Josh Alexander blasts Kenny Omega before anything can really be furthered on from that. And the Bucks don't really know what to do. Do they help Kenny? Do they help Josh Alexander because they're the baddies and they're kind of slightly aligned with Don Callis? They do need to get some more cash again. And then Jurassic Express come down before they can make any sort of decision. And they have a bit of a brawl with them. But again, continuing on from storylines that started ages and ages and ages ago, Kenny Omega gets in Jack Perry's face and be like, well, last time you and I were in the ring, you hit me right in the diverticulitis. You took me off TV for months on end. No, I don't just because you're now with your pet dinosaur doesn't mean I just like you again.
Which is very fair. But they run away and Kenny does his old sort of New Japan promo.
They don't run away. They brawl. They brawl to the back with the Bucks.
Then the lights cut out afterwards. I just thought, okay, that's the end of that segment. We're going to the next one.
Nice promo from Kenny.
Yeah.
Thanks for being here. If you've been here since day one or this is your first show, cheers for watching. Good night. Mwah. Bang.
But then, just like All In, the lights come back up, and there is, I swear to God, Chris Jericho. And I'm just like, oh, right, Chris Jericho's back. He's got the lucha mask on. Yeah. He's got the long hair. Honestly, he's got the shape of Chris Jericho.
Just hasn't got the tats.
Yeah, but he had a suit on, so you couldn't see, right?
Oh, yeah, that's a good point, yeah.
So what who did you think it was?
Well, I can tell you what, I didn't think it was Andrade.
Who did you? Were you just like, oh, it's a figure?
I was honestly
another hologram.
I don't know. I have no idea who this. I didn't have any expectations of who it is until he took the mask off and it was Andrade, and my jaw hit the floor because we want to talk about some humble pie. I said on this podcast not 3 weeks ago, he won't go back to AEW. He'll go to CMLL. And he'll be able to do some stuff within AEW because of the partnership. He'll be on Forbidden Door. That'll be the way to get him back on. But he won't go back to AEW. AEW won't want to pick him up. Look how much of a headache he was the first time he was there. Nom, 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 eating my humble pie and my crow. He's back in AEW, assigned by them. It's not a one-off.
Is he really signed?
So yeah, Fightful Slate reported. He is signed by AEW. This is not a one-off. He is back with the company full time. Yeah,
because commentary put over quite strongly. He's back. He's back in AEW. So I thought, it must be a long-term thing then. So yeah. And then he walks up the ramp. He's with the other 45 members of the Don Callis family.
I love it. Add more members. We're about to add another one as well.
Yes,
in the next match.
Instagram. So, yeah, let's talk about Andrade.
Yeah, let's.
He left WWE about 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's only 3 weeks ago.
under quite a storm, I would say.
Yeah.
You know, the reports of a wellness policy violation.
Escorted from the building.
Some incident backstage following SummerSlam. The Clash in Paris plans had to be changed to the Street Profits. They ended up kind of pushing Rey Fenix, but also not. He had that one match with Sami Zayn that was good on SmackDown. Yeah, and then Andrade, he's just released. This is following the divorce from Charlotte in real life. I think one of the reasons he might have gone back to WWE from AEW. Mm-hmm. Yeah. They were certainly posting about it when he was in AEW. So here we are.
Yeah, he's the Jeff Jarrett of this wrestling war.
Is he? So he has left WWE to AEW, one.
Yeah.
Then he's gone back to WWE, and now he's back in AEW. That is 3 trades.
Yes. So
what about B. Priestley?
Well, I think Jarrett still has them beat because Jarrett leaves WWF in... Oh, man, I'm going to bring the dates up for this because I had this in my news yesterday. Where's my Jarrett's timeline of events?
So Jarrett is in WWF with his sort of stripper outfit?
Yes, when he was, as the Attitude Era podcast called him, the sexy spaceman.
Yeah.
He left the WWF in January 96 and joined WCW in October 96.
That's one.
He then left WCW in August 97 and went back to the WWF in October 97.
That's 2.
Then he left the WWF in October 99 and returned to WCW the following day. And then he was fired by the WWF when they bought WCW in 2001. He was fired on live TV.
So I think for actual moves, that's 3, isn't it?
So it's like, it's better if we want to go WWF, WCW, WWF, WCW. Oh yeah, it's 4. So even with that, if you want to do it that way.
Oh, Andrade's catching him, or Uno Dos Tres Cuatro.
Yeah.
We said, go back and watch our podcast from 3 weeks ago. What's next for Andrade? It was the Raw review, because the news broke around that time. And we were both like, no way Tony Khan's going to take him back. He's doing fine. He's got too many guys as it is.
And we were saying that. So the thing with Andrade, I think, was a poster child. Him, Malachi Black, and Miro were really the figureheads of, you brought in the wrong people. People who didn't actually want to be part of this team. People who were there to collect a paycheck until they could just go back to WWE, which is really what they ultimately wanted to do, and ultimately did do, was just go back to where they wanted to go to. And he was unhappy with his time there. Miro was unhappy with his time there. Malachi Black, had to do trios matches because, hey, they just won't book me in singles matches. I can't explain why. And then he had the incident with Sammy Guevara. So he had done an interview with a magazine or a website or something where he had said, Sammy's complaining backstage in the locker room that I hit too hard in matches. So Sammy then is on Twitter being like, well, you're only a favor hire anyway. You're only brought in because your father-in-law's Ric Flair. And Andrade is just like, I'll see you at Dynamite. And then, so Sean Rossett was talking about this on Fightful. As the story goes, Andrade was told directly, don't get into it with Sammy Guevara because we've just had Brawl Out and we really don't want to have another backstage fight. Not only that, obviously there was the Eddie Kingston and Sammy Guevara one that had happened not that previously before that as well. It's like, we just don't want any fights.
They brought that up in this episode because LFI are having a match with Eddie.
Yeah, and Andrade said, yep, sure, no worries. And then as Sean tells the story, and he said this could have been embellished, as the myth grows, Andrade was having a conversation with Matt Hardy, and in the middle of the conversation, saw Sammy Guevara and said, I'll be right back. Walked over, punched Sammy Guevara in the face, then just went back to the conversation with Matt Hardy. And Sammy Guevara was like, what's going on?
I mean, it is assault, and that's a fireable offence in any company. Yeah. And it's badass, though, isn't it? It's hard not to be impressed by it.
So he then gets suspended from that. He also gets injured during this time as well. Returns as a babyface, does the Continental Classic, and then he does the angle with CJ Perry and Miro that leads to their World's End match, which ended up being both of their last matches in AEW before they both left and went back to WWE. And with Andrade, AEW wanted to retain his services, wanted them to re-sign him, and he just told them, effectively on the day, nah, I'm all right, I'm going to go back.
If I was in Tony's position, after that experience with someone, I would not bring them back. Even if they were more, I'm not saying that Andrade isn't talented, but over the last 5 years, has he been a difference maker? Has he really stood out even when he's been booked well? Not really. Those two things combined, I would not touch the guy.
Also, he just got fired by another company.
Yeah, for what sounds like a disciplinary issue.
That's the bigger red flag for me. You've got some red flags on the floor from the last time that you had him. Another one's he's just been fired by WWE have fired him. So yeah, I don't think I would be like clamoring to bring him back. Other than, here is why I think he's been brought back. I think it's the moment. I think that Tony Khan wants to have a newsworthy angle
on the 6th episode.
On this 6th anniversary episode, can you believe X happened? X returned, X debuted, Y whatever. I think he wanted to have a thing, and this is the thing that fell into his lap. I can do the return of Andrade because no one will expect it. And that is a moment, and it will have people talking about the show the following day.
Yeah. I don't even think they'll be talking about it that much.
Well, we'll see, because we're leading with it on yesterday's WrestleTalk News, but we haven't pushed that live yet.
I guess there's also just a roster argument that Swerve and Ospreay are out for an extended period of time. They're both top guys. But I don't see Andrade as the guy to fill that void either. I think you've got a much better shot. Yes, he is. So that, he does attack Kenny. But you look at everyone else in that company of who you could be pushing. Use Swerve and Ospreay being absent as an opportunity to push someone up the card.
Great point.
Not bring in someone who has been a repeated issue behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And again, not that impressive on screen.
Well, he's only going to be there for 18 months and they'll request his release. Honestly, I said this in the news yesterday. This is my pure speculation. I think the only reason that AEW wanted to retain his services in 2023 was that he wouldn't return at the Royal Rumble in 2024.
Yeah.
I think that's the only reason that they wanted to re-sign him, is because that was going to become a headline. Ex-AEW star debuts in the Royal Rumble or returns in the Royal Rumble. So I think it's, I don't know, man. Like it's not what I would do. And actually, I think we were talking about the criticisms of Triple H. I think we can levy some of these at Tony Khan here. You should be using Swerve and Ospreay being out to level up Hook, to level up a bunch of these lads. Yeah. That I think you have got a bunch of these guys that have just been sitting there for years now, and you've not really done much with. I think it's time to level some of these guys up. And you had an opportunity to do it.
Yeah, it's weird because it is the 6th anniversary show, and you think back to that first episode, and it's been an incredible ride. The wrestling world is infinitely better off having AEW in it than not existing at all. But yeah, that first episode, Private Party. Like I thought they were going to be the next big thing. Yep. It's 6 years.
Yeah, and they had a tag title run and I say they did nothing with it. They being AEW did nothing with it. They lost those belts. Where are they now? I'll tell you where they are. In headlines, talking about going to WWE. That's the sort of state of it.
Well, I think we're both in agreement that bringing Andrade back was a bad choice, an unwise decision. I
would love to sit here and say maybe he's a changed man. Maybe him and Tony Khan had a lovely heart-to-heart and they've ironed out all their issues and this is going to go really swimmingly. But history is often known to repeat itself. This is a guy who requested his release from WWE, was a headache in AEW, didn't re-sign with them on the day, went back to WWE, got fired by WWE. There's a pattern here.
That's 4 years.
Yeah. Yeah, in the span of 4 years. I don't think I would be, probably in the same way that in WCW and WWF, I'd be on the phone to Jeff Jarrett being like, hey, do you want to come back here? Because he doesn't seem to stick around for very long. But it was a very good opening to the show.
Yeah.
And you know what? Hey, it's got us talking.
It was shocking.
It's got us talking.
Got us talking in a bad way.
Then we got an amazing video for the past 6 years of Dynamite. This was awesome.
Yeah, I really loved it. I was annoyed at my cynical self because I was just watching for what they didn't include.
Punk was in it.
Was he?
They had a shot of Punk and Sting, where Punk was in the Sting face paint.
They had a cool Sting section. I was just looking at Sting.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
and
nice.
They had Cody in it as well, because they had that moment very early on when he MJF's behind that glass thing. Oh no, MJF's with Cody, but it's when he's brawling with whoever it was.
Okay, well that's good. But I loved it, and again, I I'm so happy that AEW exists.
Mark Briscoe cut a promo saying the last few months he's been consumed with 3 letters, MJF. But he said it on a sabbatical, and I'm not selfish like you are. My friend's getting a title shot in Hologram, and my other friend is now replacing him because Hologram's got injured in Orange Cassidy. So I'm going to be there to support Orange Cassidy, unlike you, who's sitting at home alone. And then Mark Briscoe didn't come out for that match.
Despite him getting beaten up afterwards.
Yeah, it was Orange Cassidy facing Kyle Fletcher for the TNT Championship. As you said last week, the media missing part of the Premier Pro export is just now part of the Orange Cassidy entrance.
Very funny.
Very funny. This was great.
I love Cassidy. I've missed him so much.
This was an awesome match. And Hologram, who is injured, he got injured on Collision, made his return here to stop Don Callis interfering. I was like, wow, I thought he was hurt. That's why he's not in this match. And then he tripped Orange Cassidy, and I was like, Hologram has turned heel. But wait a second. That's not really Hologram. That's some sort of clone of Hologram.
Clone-gram.
It's El Clon. He is the new character that's been teased for a while now. And guess what? He's joined the Don Callis family. And then Don Callis out there with his massive faction.
I like watching Hologram wrestle. I think the Hologram gimmick is a bit teenage lame.
Yeah, isn't it just?
And they've somehow made it lamer. And now there's a clone. I feel like I'm reading probably something I wrote when I was 13.
Yeah. I mean, so the story with Hologram is, this is a character that Tony Khan has been made up years and years and years ago.
What's the character?
Well, I know. That's what I said.
It's just a very basic costume.
It's a name, is what it is. I can imagine this is something that Tony Khan pitched with his action figures when he was a kid, and he had 2 Rey Mysterio toys, and he just put them together. And one of them is a clone of the other. It's absolutely nonsense. And it's going to be long running because Hologram's not wrestling for the rest of the year because he's bloody hurt again. Yeah. So it's not for me, but I laughed when the Don Callis family came out on the stage. I'm like, this faction's hilarious. It's the best faction in wrestling. There's so many of them.
Yeah.
And they're all weirdly different shapes and sizes. Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah. Maybe Don should have more of just it's a talent agency and he's signed loads of people. So they're not all out there together at the same time. It is getting a bit jump the shark for me.
Nope.
Add more.
Add more people to it. Rocky Romero's in this group. You can sometimes see him. You squint hard enough.
He's the last person you see in the lineup, but the first person you see interfere.
We've got a recap of the Andrade return, and then Renee interviewed Mercedes Moné, who said that she's going to be defending her title next Tuesday at Title Tuesday for Dynamite. Does that mean the Dynamite's on Tuesday next week?
Yes, it is. It's Title Tuesday.
Oh, okay.
I need to figure that out, actually.
Yeah, that's a good point. And she said that she's never actually wrestled in Jacksonville, so she wants to face someone who is from Florida, who lives in Florida. So 2 names came to mind there, one of which I had to double check. But I believe Dakota Kai lives in Florida.
And Andrade.
And the other one is Izzy.
That is a great idea.
Yeah.
Izzy, of course, being the Super Bailey fan from NXT days.
I'm pretty sure she's from Florida. I think she is.
You could gimmick it. I don't care. I don't care where she's actually from. Oh, that's such a good story.
Yeah.
Oh, it's going to be Dakota Kai.
Which would be great. Don't get me wrong.
She's not from... I thought she's from...
She is from... But she lives
New Zealand.
But she lives in Florida. She also said that she's looking for a tag partner for these tag titles because she loves tag wrestling. And the Harley camera walks in with the Mercedes Moné puppet, and Moné turns her down. The Death Riders took on the Ops and Hangman Adam Page, sort of built towards Page and Moxley here. I did say last week I was concerned that we were moving Page back into a Death Riders program, and I didn't want him to be sucked back into that vortex. Thankfully, this was just a one-and-done thing that was done really as a backdrop for what the next title match is going to be. Because Page gets the win by pinning Claudio, and then we got this awesome post-match angle.
It was really good, and it was set up in the action as well. Hangman and Joe are both on the apron wanting the hot tag from Hobbs. Claudio punches Hangman off the apron, and Hangman looks super pissed, like he sees red. He gets up on the apron, and he is begging for the hot tag. And he doesn't steal the hot tag. He's just in the moment. He's like, as soon as Hobbs gets over, he just gets it before Joe. And Joe is just a little bit miffed.
Yeah.
And that feeds into this.
Because what Paige does next is not with any malice. Paige is not being a dick about this at all. He's just got that adrenaline in his soul, like just coursing through his veins. He's pumped up. He's got the win. It's the 6th anniversary of Dynamite. He picks up Joe's Trios title and hands it back to him. But because he's all pumped up and full of adrenaline, he just does it a little bit like too hard. And also, it's when Joe wasn't looking at him. So Joe all of a sudden just gets pushed by this title belt and it falls to the floor. And Joe, not being a dick, is just like, that's just disrespectful. Do you know who I am? I'm Samoa frickin' Joe. You showed me a little bit of respect here, kid. And he then just starts getting into his face. And Paige's first reaction was like, whoa. So this is about like we work together and like, you know, Joe is just like, you do not disrespect Samoa Joe like that. Joe looked so badass. Paige did nothing wrong, but I was like, but Paige, maybe you should have been a little bit more. I thought this was so great.
Expertly performed. Really good sort of character motivations from either side, because you can see where they're both coming from.
Yeah.
And it's a babyface versus babyface match with real heat on there.
And what kind of tips Paige off and tips him over the edge is that Joe just shouts at him, you never beat me. Never beat me, champ. And so then Paige has got this interview with Renee. He's like, I don't know why Joe's having a hissy fit about all of this, but if you want to say that I've never beaten you, fine. I'm a fighting champion. Thank you for what you did for me at All In, but I'm going to beat you at WrestleDream and retain this world championship. And if you have another one of these, if you have another hissy fit again, I will beat the out of you. Like, I will beat you up. It was awesome. It was so great.
Yeah. I will ruin your life.
Ruin your life.
And then Joe later on, you go back to Joe, and he says, maybe I've been distracted by the Death Riders too much. I'm remembering who I am. I'm Samoa Joe.
Yeah.
World champion last year. Great run.
2 years ago now.
Was it really?
Oh, no, he was champion.
Start of 2024.
2023, he wins the belt. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, World's End 2023, from MJF.
Andrade's last AEW show. Maybe that's why Joe remembered who he was. When did I last see
Andrade
I
coming
won the
back.
title on that show.
He's a Nexus event, Andrade. I thought this is great, and sometimes you can just go, we're having this match at the pay-per-view in 3 weeks' time.
Yeah.
And it's awesome. And Joe versus Hangman as a singles match with the belt on the line. Yeah, Hangman's going to retain, but I don't need to have the unpredictability to want to watch it.
Yeah.
Love it.
Tony Storm took on Ty Mello. Ty Mello wanted this match with Tony Storm. Good match that this was. Storm got it with the Storm Zero.
Pretty much an enhancement match for Storm.
Yeah, it was. Like, Ty Mello got some moments to shine. She's got a wicked pump kick on her. And then she gets a promo, does Tony Storm after the match, where she heard nothing at all out. Silence gobbled her up. Without the title, who the bloody hell am I? I'm not finished with you, Chris. I want to know if we can do this one-on-one. Just name the time and place. Later on, Chris Statlander accepted that challenge. No, that will go down at WrestleDream.
Yeah, really good promo, really good character work from Tony, and the visuals for these segments. It all goes to black and white, and it's just a red lipstick that pops as color. I'm liking this. What this existentially confused Tony Storm. I did not like the crowd chanting what?
Oh, this.
An AEW crowd in 2025 chanting what at a Tony Storm promo?
It's 2025. Man.
Get out of that weird building,
yeah,
all of you.
What a weird building.
What was that building?
Why is it set up that way? Like an amphitheater?
Were they on hay barrels? Some of the seats looked 2 people wide.
Yeah. It was the weirdest building. And the way that they decided to do where they placed the hard camera felt like it was the wrong place to put it, but also it felt like it was probably the only good the only good place to have put the hard cam.
It sounded great, but you just couldn't see anyone.
Yeah.
Not only could you not see anyone, it looked like you could see empty spaces.
It looked like there was 50 people there.
Yeah.
There's probably like 2,000 people
They were all packed at the side and behind this weird, I don't know what it was, chipboard seating.
And then they watted. That to me screams not traveling crowd, but casual crowd who've just bought a ticket to the wrestling show for that day. It's honestly baffling that it happened. Got a video promo for Sammy and LFI because Eddie Kingston will be taking on Dralistico on Collision. Then we've got the Renee Joe interview, and then GOA beat The Swirl.
Yep, add that for more shape-based faction names in AEW.
Again, an enhancement thing for GOA. Hurt Syndicate came out afterwards, and MVP said that he embarrassed himself at All Out. He apologized to the fans, but also to his business partners. He's going to make it right because I don't want a wrestling match. I want a fight.
Yeah, a no DQ street fight.
Is it 3-on-3 or is it just MVP versus Ricochet?
Oh, I thought it was a 3-on-3.
Yeah, I wasn't sure.
Which is how Hurt Syndicate can get their decisive victory back. I liked how MVP got the most specific hometown cheap pops I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Is anyone from the postcode BR972Q?
Yeah. Like if you're at the pub and it was like, anyone got the license plate registration? Anyone here drive a red Kia Sportage? Then we got Renee interviewing Chris Statlander, who accepted Tony's challenge, and Harley Cameron walked up to say, maybe we should be the tag partners, but she still had the Mercedes puppet with her.
Hopefully Harley does tag with the puppet.
Oh, great.
And then gets a hot tag when she, like when Darby wrestled that match by himself. Chris is definitely back into alien gimmick. This did feel like a real whiplash going backwards.
I don't think it is. I think this is a combination of all Chris gimmicks together to make this ultimate form of Chris Statlander, because she got new presentation when she came out and I think this is the final form of everything that has come together of Chris Statlander. Alicia interviewed Don Callis, who selected 2 of his members from his team, and stupidly has picked Carter and Takeshita to team together to take on Brodido, because Don Callis cannot see that they've got an issue.
I think
in his mind, he knows that they don't like each other, but also they're his best guys. And he's like, but they will work together because we've got a common goal, and that's winning gold for the Don Callis family. I don't think he realizes how much of a big issue this is within his faction.
Could be. I've always seen Don as a bit more of a toxic father figure, or even like sort of how Vince would run WWE, and that he gets a kick out of his guys.
It's like a Brett and Shawn situation.
Yeah, because there was that period last year where he just booked his guys against each other.
Yeah, it's true.
And it was like, come on, who wants to impress me most?
I'm super, that match is gonna. That's gonna be a great match. Yeah. Brodido versus Takeshita and Okada. There, yes, please. And the main event was Darby Allin and Chris Statlander taking on the Death Riders of Marina Shafir and Wheeler Yuta in a lovely little hardcore brawl. Yeah, Darby almost immediately misses a suicide dive outside right into a steel chair, and he just gets a cut down his back. There was a gross German suplex onto that pile of chairs. Yeah. Superplex into the chairs. Wheeler Yuta gets out thumbtacks. He teases putting Chris Statlander into the thumbtacks, but Statlander reverses that, and she slams Yuta into the big pile of chairs. And then she gets Marina Shafir, who doesn't wear wrestling boots, and drops her feet first into the tacks. Why is that so visceral? Yeah, it's like when there was a big spot of Lego bricks a few years back. That was a real big indie spot, and everyone was like, "This is even worse than tacks." I think your feet going into tacks is so much worse. Well, I've never stepped on a tack. I've stood on Lego bricks, so I get an instant. I know what that is. Yeah, when you'd have poured out the thumbtacks, my immediate thought was, "It's not very many thumbtacks." Because I just had all the thumbtacks in a match, but they won me back over with that Marina spot. Because sometimes you can just get over that drama with one spot over 10 spots. Mm-hmm. And then Marina got blinded with some cocaine, and then she started choking out Wheeler Yuta. She just grabbed the first thing that was close to her and just started like Tazmish and just sort of locked it in. Freaking came up hard. Like Cocaine Bear. And she grabbed it, and I was like, "You don't feel the big gross beard on Wheeler Yuta and his smelly hair? You're probably choking out the wrong person here." But then Chris Statlander hit a 450 onto both of them, and then Darby hit the coffin drop to pin Wheeler Yuta. Fun main event. Very fun main event. Gives both Chris and Darby revenge over the opposite gender people who they've been feuding with, and it builds to the larger matches. Darby with Mox, of course, and Chris with what happened next. Because Storman came out to face off with Chris, and they had this really cute moment where they just yeah, let's do this. And they just started brawling. Security came out to break that up. But Pac attacked Darby from behind. John Moxley came out and they were like beating him up and they were like choking him with a chain. And John Moxley had this awesome line where he just looked at him and was like, I don't know how I'm going to do it yet, but I'm going to make you say the words, I quit at WrestleDream. And it's so sinister because he knows the thing with Darby is that Darby always gets back up. You cannot kill Darby Allin. And John Moxley, in a weird way, is in a lose-lose situation, but he knows, like, I'm going to find a way to make you do this.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is yet, but it's going to happen.
It was Mox's line, but also he kind of giggled in glee.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God, I get to kill you.
Yeah.
Because no one else has been able to figure this out. Yeah, it was a really good line delivery. Because I'm not super into the Darby Mox match. Mm-hmm. Darby's never my guy. I just don't really invest in the guy. But that hooked me in because I'm more into Mox, I guess.
I like the match that they had at All Out, so
yeah,
I'm into this.
Oh, I always enjoy the matches, but Darby as a character, he's just not my. I just don't get him really.
Overall, really good episode of Dynamite. A very fitting tribute for the 6th anniversary.
I've got some comments here from last week. Of course, we talked about the John Cena retirement. Is it the worst retirement ever? JGG writes, this whole Cena retirement just felt so unnatural. Everything was made to entertain the sponsors instead of the fans.
It just feels like TKO brackets general at this point.
The Logan Paul stuff, the Travis Scott stuff. It's not just the sponsors, but also sort of, remember, WWE's ultimate parent company is a talent management agency.
Yeah.
But Mousin at 666 disagrees with us because we both kind of settled on, yep, this is the worst retirement ever. You can't call anything the worst retirement ever after what they did to Kurt Angle.
I think I might have said this in last week's episode. The only reason I push back on the idea that Kurt Angle's is worse is because they didn't want that to be good. So that being bad was almost by design because they wanted it to suck. This is someone they like. And they had it all mapped out. They knew exactly the date he was going to be there.
Well, that leads me on to this next comment, which I think is really interesting. We didn't talk about it. Red John Debley writes, Triple H undermines legends because nobody can be greater than him.
Fascinating.
And actually, when we were talking about Triple H's booking earlier in the show, is there an element of Triple H going, yeah, but I'm the main character?
I mean, he's on that top of that building at Las Vegas.
Oh, we made so much money last year. Come pay more.
We're gonna do it again and bigger.
And you know, Seth Rollins is Triple H avatar on screen. He gets pushed, you know, sort of beyond his overness, I think. Look at Goldberg. Look at Cena. It's like,
yeah. If he got the
look
chance,
at Brett.
I was gonna say, if he had the chance to do a Bret Hart retirement match, he would F that up, something fierce, and he'd be giggling to himself in gorilla position.
Oh, I do the screw job. We're definitely not gonna have call the bell when he gets the sharpshooter on you, Brett. Definitely not.
Definitely not.
Do you know about that story?
What, the
Montreal screw job? Fascinating story.
Yeah, do you know what? I've only heard bits and pieces over the last 20 odd years.
And finally, for now, Gazatola writes, the worst retirements are the ones that say they're retired, and then they have one more match or several that is almost always awful. As long as Cena stays out of the ring, he will never have a bad a retirement as they do. I disagree. Yeah. Because one of the greatest retirements ever is Ric Flair's retirement. I'm sorry, I love you, super kick. And then that ceremony on Raw the next night. That's where it ended for me. Yeah.
And same with Shawn. I think that the match he has in Saudi Arabia is almost non-canon in a way.
Yeah.
You know, you and I were there for Doug Williams' retirement match when he had that match in Progress at Wembley SSE. Doug Williams had a load of other matches after that, but for me, Doug Williams retired on that night. So yeah, I think I completely understand what Gaz is saying here. The other thing, actually, I forgot to mention this on last week's show, but I meant to bring it up when we were talking about it. I think there is a chance to redeem this retirement. You just have one final good match.
Yeah.
Because it's how you leave them. If you can have a banging match that has got a really good thing and everyone's like, everyone universally loves the outcome of that match and the match itself. All of the negative stuff and negative things people have does dissipate somewhat because everyone's like, but it did end great.
And then over the next few years, people will go, wow, what a start, what an end, what a match with Cody in the middle.
Yep.
And yeah, that's all that happened.
That's all that happened. It's how you're leaving, folks.
Have you got any recommendations before we get out of here?
Yeah, I kind of said it earlier in the show, but it is the WWE Vault YouTube channel because at the moment they're doing this gimmick of showing the Monday Night Wars, like, so just switch between them. So it'll be like a match from Raw, then a match from Nitro, then a match from Raw, and a match from Nitro. Not in any order. It is just like a random, like it will jump from like 98 to 2000 to 99 to 2001. And it's awesome. I'm having I just have it on while I'm working, while I'm just looking at doing some other stuff. And you just look over and there's just... I'm having such a ball with it. The one I've mentioned it a few times in conversations with you and other people now, but I just sat down for lunch and it was an episode of Raw in the lead up to WrestleMania X7, and it's The Rock and Austin versus the Brothers of Destruction. And I'm like, this is awesome. This is badass right here.
Wasn't one of the first ones you sat down, you just popped it on and randomly it was Raven versus Goldberg.
Yeah, where Goldberg wins the US title.
One of the best matches in that era of WCW.
Oh, it's so, like, I'm having so much fun with it because sometimes it's like massive gems like that. There was another time, it was the Tag Team Royal Rumble, which is a mess. But I'm like, I love how gritty and naff this all looks. Yeah. Oh, it's so much fun.
It's been fun to have it on next to me as well. Because it's on right now. You just leave it going. It was on just streaming as we left.
Yeah. I can't wait to go. I cannot wait to see what it's going to be on my screen when I go back to my desk.
My recommendation is Hades 2, the sequel to Hades, which is, I think they call it a roguelike game.
Yes.
Where you die and you go right back to the start. Mm-hmm. But the theory is each time you get a little bit more powerful, you collect things that you can improve your weapons with. So you should get further through the game each time. Not this guy. I've found my point, and I really think I should be past it by now. But I keep dying, and it's not getting better. It's not like I'm defeating this boss, like causing a bit more damage each time. It's the sirens in like the second level. What the hell? It's a great game though, really well written, and fun characters and gameplay.
Cool, nice.
Yeah. Right, please do go over to patreon.com/WrestleTalk. You would have heard the TNA series ad earlier with Aces and Eights, so you can go and listen to episode 2 there right now.
And we've also got an episode of TLC out tomorrow. There's one on YouTube where we're doing the worst wrestling catchphrases, and over on Patreon it'll be the best wrestling catchphrases, which is a very fun episode.
Both of them are really fun.
Yeah.
And now, once it's live, because we recorded it a couple of weeks ago with Sullivan, I feel like then we can start doing the thing.
Yeah, when we start to ruin all of YouTube comments.
Yeah. So really exciting to ruin everything. It's going to be the new what? Which does feature highly. Right, but for now, I've been Ollie Davis. This has been Luca and DAD. Jam that jam.
Jam that jam.